All right, let's jump right into this explainer. Today we're looking at how Alibaba's Qwen 3.7 Plus is completely rewiring how we interact with artificial intelligence. We are moving way beyond just typing simple questions into a chat window and hoping for a decent response. Alibaba recently dropped this new model, and honestly, it's quickly proving to be one of the most complete, highly capable AI agents we've seen so far in 2026. And look, that's not just because of some arbitrary benchmark score on a specialized test. It's because of what this thing can actually execute in a real, messy, day-to-day workflow, whether you're coding, studying, or creating content. We're seeing a fundamental shift here, right? From AI as just a conversational partner to AI as a dedicated, hands-on digital worker. So I want you to imagine something for just a second. Imagine no longer needing to bounce back and forth between ChatGPT for your writing, GitHub Copilot for your code, Perplexity for your deep research, and maybe Canva for your visual analysis. What if you could replace all of those specialized siloed AI tools with just one? A single unified AI that can actually look at your screen, understand precisely what it's seen, think through the complex problem you're facing, and write out the solution literally without you ever having to switch a single tab on your browser. Just think about how much daily friction that instantly removes. Because let's be totally honest about how we work with artificial intelligence right now. Currently, you are the bottleneck in your own workflow. Think about your daily process. You're constantly manually copying data from one window, pasting it into another, and then awkwardly trying to describe visual bugs or complex design layouts in plain text, just trying to connect these specialized AI tools together. Essentially, you are the integration layer. You are the one doing all the tedious manual labor of translating what you see on your screen into something the machine can actually process. And frankly, it dramatically slows down your entire day and caps your overall productivity. Well, Qwen 3.7 Plus entirely eliminates that integration bottleneck, and it does it because it is natively multimodal. Now, what does that actually mean in practice? It means it's an AI with the built-in capability to process not just text, but rich visual content natively and seamlessly. We're talking about complex UI designs, dense data charts, cryptic error messages popping up on your screen, and even poorly scanned lecture slides. It natively understands the visual content you show it without needing you to write out those long, frustrating text descriptions of what you're looking at. The vision isn't just some bolted-on feature, it is core to how the model perceives the problem. And here is the really crucial part. It's an agent. This is a vital distinction we have to grasp. An agent is an AI designed to actually take actions, use external tools, run its own code, and chain complex, multi-step processes together to complete a tangible task. It doesn't just spit out passive advice or a list of bullet points. It actively executes tasks and writes complete solutions for you. When you combine those two capabilities together, that native multimodal vision and the agentic action, well, that is exactly when things get truly revolutionary for the stuff we do every day. So how does this actually look in practice? Let's take a developer's workflow, for example, and see how it tackles fixing code instantly. We'll look at the absolute strongest use case we've seen so far, which is fixing a broken React component layout. If you write code, you know exactly how painful this scenario is, right? You've got a UI layout that is visually misaligned, things aren't rendering properly, and you are just staring at hundreds of lines of code trying to pinpoint exactly where the CSS or the styling went sideways. The contrast here is wild. The old way meant reading through 300 lines of code line by line, Googling the symptoms, pasting snippets, and awkwardly describing visual bugs in text. Just crossing your fingers and hoping the AI understands what, hey, the submit button is slightly too far to the left actually means. The Qwen 3.7 Plus way changes the paradigm entirely. You give the model the visual output and your source code simultaneously. Here's how that plays out step by step in reality. First, you just take a regular screenshot of the broken UI directly in your browser. Next, you drop that raw screenshot, along with your component code, straight into Qwen. Then you just give it one simple prompt asking for the fix. And finally, you paste the corrected component it hands back to you directly into your editor. The model visually identifies the layout misalignment, cross-references that visual with your code perfectly, and hands you a working fix with a clear explanation of exactly what it changed. And that whole loop, from taking a screenshot to pasting a working fix, we're talking realistically under 2 minutes, with absolutely zero context loss. When you rely on text to describe visuals to traditional AI models, you immediately lose vital information in translation. But because Qwen 3.7 Plus relies on vision and code understanding simultaneously, it just sees the problem exactly as you do. It entirely eliminates the guesswork and that frustrating back-and-forth prompting that usually wastes so much of your time. But this isn't just for developers. Let's shift gears and look at how this accelerates things for anyone dealing with dense visual information, like a student or a researcher. The efficiency here is just incredible, eliminating a tremendous amount of busy work. If you're in academia or really anyone who needs to process massive amounts of information quickly, this is huge. You can completely skip manually typing out your notes or fighting with that clunky OCR software trying to extract text from blurry images. First, you just upload the raw lecture slides. Then, you prompt it for a plain language summary and a quiz. Qwen processes all the diagrams, the charts, and the text natively, almost exactly like a human would. You can then easily follow up and ask it to use that exact context to generate a fully structured APA essay outline, and it does it in seconds. And this scales brilliantly when you're looking at broader strategy and content creation, especially for roles like marketers and teachers. Think about what this means for scaling your output. We can literally compress hours of strategy and curriculum planning into a single, focused workflow. We've talked about developers and students, but the ability to ingest visual inputs and scale them into massive structured outputs is an absolute game changer here too. Whether you're a marketer screenshotting a competitor's ad to visually analyze the strategy and improve the call to action, or a teacher uploading a raw textbook chapter scan, one visual upload scales into massive outputs. It can visually analyze those ad strategies and generate A/B test variations and full content calendars. For teachers, it can instantly build full lesson plans, classroom activities, and 20-question custom assessments directly from a photograph. It's just phenomenal leverage. Okay, now let's take a breath and be completely real for a second. We need honest analysis here, not just blind hype. Because taking a serious look at reality, we definitely need to acknowledge where this technology still falls short in real-world applications. It's incredibly powerful, sure, but knowing its limits is absolutely crucial. First off, never blindly trust it with highly complex technical diagrams or really dense, low-contrast handwriting. Vision capabilities still have limits, and it can absolutely hallucinate details. Second, keep in mind that full hands-off autonomy, where you just say, hey, build an app and walk away to get coffee, that is an industry-wide struggle and remains unreliable right now. It still needs your human oversight. And finally, please always review Alibaba's data privacy policies before uploading proprietary company code or sensitive client info. You've got to understand where your data is going before using it for serious professional work. But even with those hurdles, we have to look at the bigger picture and what this means for the era of computing we are entering. Despite those current limitations, the very existence of this model raises the bar for the entire industry and signals a massive, massive shift. Every major AI lab in the world is racing toward this exact destination, general-purpose agentic AI. Think about how rapidly we've evolved over just the last few years. In 2024, it was all about talking, right? Chatbots that were really good at answering questions. In 2025, we moved into thinking, models that could genuinely reason through complex, multi-step problems. And now, as we push through 2026, we are firmly in the era of doing. We're dealing with AI that actually perceives its environment, reasons through the context, and executes the work on your behalf. So as we wrap up this explainer, I really want to hear from you. If you had this kind of power at your fingertips, if you had one single AI that could seamlessly see, think, code, and act all at once, what is the very first task you'd get off your plate? What workflow would you hand over? Like, share, and subscribe, please, and drop a comment in comment box.